Hello everybody, this is your second video for week 2, as I promised would come, and this video is based around page 15 and page 16 of your textbooks. On page 15, questions 6 and 7, and then question 4 on page 16. Now, we haven't done a lot with measurement scales in class yet. We've done a bit, but we haven't done a lot. So I actually wanted to spend most of this video going over some other scales with you, other like millilitres and grams, and practicing a little bit rather than just looking at these questions. So we will look at these questions, but I wanted to do a little bit first because I think it will be a good recap if you do remember, and also help out all of you to be able to approach these problems, because we haven't done a lot of it in class yet. That was very soon to be coming up when we stopped going to school. So we're going to look at, first of all, just have a look at this number line. Okay, now this could be called a scale, a measurement scale if you like, but it could just be a number line, and some of the numbers are missing. Okay, so I would like you to see if you could work out what the missing numbers are along this scale. Okay, so we've got 0, 20, something, 60, 80, something, something, 140, and then you might even be able to work out what is on the end as well. Okay, now when you're looking at these kind of problems, it's always best to look and see if there are numbers which are next to each other without a missing gap. So for example, these, you've got 2 directly next to each other, and at the beginning you've got those 2, because the amount of jump is going to be the same and it's going to be even all the way up. Okay, it's not going to suddenly be a jump here of 20 and then this next one is going to be a jump of 30. Okay, because this is an even scale, and it would be very bizarre if it did that. Okay, so if you look at the ones that you've got, and that will help you to work out what the interval is, what the jump is, and the space between each of the divisions, each of the lines along the scale. Okay, so as I said, we can tell from here that this is a jump of 20. Okay, now this also is a jump of 20, 60 to 80. Okay, so maybe that helps you to work out what the gaps could be. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to have a look. Pause the video if you'd like to, and see if you can work out what those numbers are, and I will write them in just a second. So there's this one to work out, this one, and then one right at the end. Okay, so if you haven't had enough time, pause the video and have a little bit longer, but otherwise let's go through and hopefully you can tell me what the numbers are. Okay, so this first gap here, what do you think the number should be? 40, that's right. Okay, and what would this next one be here? So we've got 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Next one, 120, good. And then what would be right at the end? 160, that's right. So it's going up in 20s, as we said. 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, and 160. Okay, so when you're looking at scales, so for example, these questions that I mentioned, it's exactly the same idea, whether the scale is going up, whether the scale is going across, whether the scale is in a circle, like a actual weighing scales. It's the same principle to work out the missing numbers. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some other scales now, just have a closer look, and I'll help you to work out what the numbers could be. Okay, now I do apologise, this piece of paper is a little bit mucky. It was perfectly clean, and then my cat Farley decided to come in from the garden and walk his muddy paws all over it. So I do apologise, it looks a bit gross, but I haven't got a printer to reprint, I'm afraid, so we'll have to cope for now. So let's have a look at this first one. So this is some water in some measuring cylinders, measuring containers. They're all in millilitres, as you can see. Now when you're trying to work out the amount being shown, so the amount of liquid we've got here, you can look at a number of different things to help you. Okay, like we said with the last one, you can look at the intervals that you can see. So on this one we could see very clearly how much difference there were between these ones. Okay, now these are a little bit different because obviously there are regular numbers, but there are numbers missing in the middle. And often it's useful to kind of maybe fill out some of those at least to help you. Okay, and the other thing is that when you're trying to work out what number is in between the numbers they've given you, because I haven't written all the numbers out because it would be too squished. Okay, if you can imagine this one, if they'd written all the numbers next to all of the little lines, it would have been incredibly squished up. Okay, so what you need to look for is you are looking for a middle line, a middle point in between the numbers it's given you. Now there won't always be a completely middle point, and we'll come to an example where that is the case in a minute, but quite often there will be a middle point, and sometimes they are helpful on scales and the line is a little bit longer. So if you have a look in between the numbers on these scales, can you see some of the lines in between that are a little bit longer? Okay, so all of these ones we've got here, that one's longer, that one's longer, that one's longer over here, that one's a bit longer than these, this one's longer, this one's longer. Okay, now that's demonstrating to you that that is a midpoint, and that is a really, really good place to start working out what the other numbers are. Okay, so if we know, for example, on this one, this would be 0 at the bottom, so it might be even easier to think about between 10 and 20. This line here is the middle. Okay, it is the middle of whatever is between 10 and 20. Okay, so you just need to think about what is in the middle of 10 and 20. What is halfway between 10 and 20? Okay, and the other thing you've got is there are sometimes other lines as well as our centre line. There's sometimes other lines, like this one's got lots of other lines, and you can also work out what each of these lines are worth if you count how many there are and see how many sections there are between the two numbers you've got above and below. So for example, here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 gets you to there. So between 10 and 20, okay, I know between 10 and 20 there are 10, okay, because 20 take away 10 is 10. Just like here, between 20 and 30 there is 10. And there's also 10 sections. Okay, so 10 divided by the 10 sections is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. And so each of these lines is actually 1. So if you thought that this middle line here was 15, you were absolutely right. Okay, and each of these is also 1. So we've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and it would continue up. Okay, over on these ones, if we have a look at this one, we've got it going up in 20s here. Okay, I can see that, I can work that out by counts. It goes in 20, 40, 60, 80. Okay, it's not 10s like this one, 10, 20, 30, 40. Now in between here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Okay, so there's a section here, a section here, a section here, a section here. All right, so there's 4 kind of sections in between. Now, again, we've got a slightly longer middle line here. And even if you didn't have a middle line, you could, if that line wasn't longer, if you looked at it, you would think, well, where is about halfway here? Okay, is that line halfway? Well, no, because then you'd have a little bit here and then a lot here. So you can estimate where the middle line would be. Okay, but we know this is the middle line. Now, this is the middle point between 20 and 40. So last time it was between 10 and 20, okay, which was 15, but this time it's 20 and 40, okay? So you've got the middle line, so work that out first. What is halfway between 20 and 40? 30. That's right. And now can you work out what the lines in between are? What's halfway between 20 and 30? Halfway between 30 and 40. 25 and 35. Okay, so each of these lines are 5s. The other way of working that out is because we know there's 20 in between the numbers here, 20 in between the numbers here, and there are 4 sections. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so each section is 5. Okay, so you can use that to help you here. So we know that each section is 5, okay, 80, 85, 90, and you keep going. Okay, those ones are fairly similar. Now this one's interesting. So here, instead of being 10 in between the numbers, it's not 10, it's not 20. How much is it going up by this time? Hundreds, that's right. I'm really sorry about this paper, it's very embarrassing. So it's going up by 100 each time. So we're looking for that middle line, okay? Is that line halfway between? No, because otherwise you'd have a small bit and a big bit. Okay, is that line halfway in between? No, it's this one, isn't it? And it's helped you because it's a little bit longer. So that's the middle line. So work out what is between 100 and 200, right in the middle of 100 and 200. 150. Now, what is halfway between 100 and 150? What would be this halfway point here between the two? Remember, it's going up by 100 each time, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, so 100 divided by 4. That's what we're doing. What's halfway between 100 and 150? 125. Now hopefully, knowing that these go up by 25 here, 25, 25, 25, 25, it'll help you to be able to work out what this one is up here. Okay, now just quickly looking at these ones. So this one, the long line is actually where the numbers are. So it hasn't really helped you with the middle line, but I reckon you can work out which of these 3 lines is about the middle there and be able to work it out in the same way as up here. Okay, now this one's an interesting one. Another mucky bit of the paper. Where's the middle line here? There's not one. One of these lines is not showing the midpoint, okay, because where it's pointing here, you've got this section, okay, and then you've got this section which is bigger, so that's not a midpoint there. Okay, that can't be the midpoint either, because otherwise you've got that size section and this size section, okay, which is different in size. So there is no midpoint here, so you can't use that technique to help you with these. So what you need to do instead is think about how much is it going up by, okay, and how many sections do I have in between. All right, so between 200 and 300, how much more is that? 100. And how many sections have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with the 100 that is between 200 and 300, it needs to be split up into 5 equal sections. So 100 divided into 5. Okay, now think about what 100 divided into 10 would be. That might help you if you had 10 sections. But this is 100 into 5. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up on the screen a picture of these 3, then these 2, and then these. And I want you to work out what the measurements are showing. Okay, so where the water is up to or where the arrow is pointing to. I would like you to pause the video so you can work it out, because after 5 seconds the picture will change and will reveal the answers. So please do pause it, otherwise you are going to be given the answers before you've even had a chance to have a go. Okay, so here come the pictures. Make sure you pause it, work it out, and then see if you're right. Okay, there's going to be 3 sets. So these 3 together and then the answers for all 3. These 2 together and the answers for these 2, and these 2 together and the answers for those 2. Okay, good luck. Okay, how did you get on? I hope you did very well there. If you didn't get them all right, don't worry, because we've got some more practice coming now. And there is an optional challenge at the end of the video as well if you want a little bit more of a practice and a bit more of a chance to have a look at some other scales. Okay, so we're just going to have a quick look at these 2 questions from your book. This is from page 15. The first one, Maria measures her height against a scale. How tall is Maria? Now, very helpfully, they've drawn a line for you on the top of her head. She's not wearing a very thin hat. They're showing us where she would be, because she's not standing with her back against the scale, so it would be quite hard to judge otherwise, but they've given us this line very helpfully. So you are needing to work out where that line is up to there, okay, how tall she is. Okay, so using what we learnt from the other sheet, you need to think about what's it going up by each time. Okay, is there a middle line that I can find in between the numbers, which can give me the middle points in the middle number that would go in between? And then can I then work out any numbers that would come between those ones, any other lines that we were given? So you've got a middle line and you've got other lines here as well. Okay, so quite similar to the other ones that you were just doing, but just in a different, slightly different context. Okay. And then number 7 as well, just talk to you about this one. This one's a bit more like our number line problem at the beginning, really. And there's 2 answers you need to give. So you need to say, what number would this be and what number would this be here? Okay, but exactly the same principle. What is it going up by? Okay, so how much has it gone up by in between those numbers? And remember, it will be the same in each jump. Is there a midline in between those numbers that I can use to work out the number that will come directly in the middle? And then that might help me to work out any other of the lines as well, and to help me work out any other of the intervals and the numbers. Okay, so there are those 2 questions. All right, so I'm not going to spend any longer on those because they're very similar to the other ones. The other thing I just wanted to talk to you about is this question, which is from page 16. Now this says, look at the thermometer below. How many degrees does the temperature need to increase to reach 53 degrees Celsius? So this is the same principle, but it's kind of a 2-step problem this time. It's asking you to look at where it is now, and it's telling you if it increased to 53, how much more would the thermometer need to go up by to reach 53. Okay. Now we're just going to have a look at some of those scales on the first sheet. I'm just going to put a picture of it back up on the screen again and talk to you about it over the top and give you some questions. Okay, so if you need some thinking time while I'm doing that, do pause it so you can think and give me the answer. And we'll do a few that are like this kind of thing. Okay, so we'll go over to the pictures now. Okay, so let's have a look at the scale that you can see in the middle, the one with the most blue liquid in it. Now we worked that out to be 95 millilitres that it was showing, okay? But how much more would we need to reach 100 millilitres? What do you think? If it's on 95 and we need to reach 100 millilitres, how much more water would we need to put in? 5 millilitres. Well done. Good. If we have a look at the first one, okay, we worked that out to be 34 millilitres. How much more water would I need to put in to reach 40 millilitres? So it's on 34 now. How much more would we need to get to 40? 6 millilitres. Well done. Good. If we have a look now at the next picture. Okay, so on this picture here, if we look at the first one, we worked that out to be 15 millilitres. How much more would I need to put in to get to 30 millilitres? If it's on 15, how much more would I need to get to 30 millilitres? Another 15, that's right, well done. At the moment, on that second one you can see, there is 325 millilitres in the container. If I added another 25 millilitres, how much would be in there now? If I added another 25 millilitres, how much would be in there now? 350 millilitres, well done. Let's have a look at the next picture. Okay, so we've got grams now. If we are currently, if we look at the flat scale on the left, we work that out to be 75 grams. Okay, 75 grams. If I added on another 10 grams, what would it be saying now? If it's on 75 and I add on 10, how much more would it be saying now? 85 grams, well done. And last one, looking at the scale on the right, at the moment it says 240 grams. How many more grams would I need? So if we had 240 grams of sugar, if I wanted to get to 300 grams of sugar, how much more would I need to pour in? So on 240, and we need to get to 300. 60. Well done. Super. Okay, we're going to have a look back at question 4 now from page 16, because that's a very, very similar thing to what we've just been doing. Okay, right, so this question is very similar to the ones that we've just been doing. Okay, so you've just been doing some of those, this is the same thing. So what I would recommend to start you off is to work out where 53 degrees Celsius actually is on this scale, because if you don't know that, you're going to struggle to work out how many more you need. Okay, so I would mark on where you need to get to. Okay, so where would 53 be? I'll bring it in a bit closer, hopefully I won't lose focus. So where would 53 be there? Whereabouts would it be? Look for the midlines, see if you can work it out. Okay, so I'm going to mark it on so I can show you close up. Okay. Right, so this is where 53 is. Okay, I've drawn a line down the middle. All right, so I know that because this is going to be 55 here, this middle line, because it's halfway between 50 and 60. So 53 would be 2 before that, okay, because there's 10 lines in between, 10 sections, and there's a jump of 10 in between the numbers. So each line is just 1, which is nice and easy. Okay, so it needs to get to there. So what is it on at the moment? You need to work out what is the temperature at the moment. Okay, can you tell me what that is? Pause it if you need to. What is the temperature at the moment? So look really closely. Where does that liquid in the thermometer get up to? It's bigger than 35. That's the midpoint there. So it is 38. 38. Just going to write that in there. So we need to get from 38 to 53. Okay, so the easiest thing to do that is just to count on, to work it out by counting on from 38 to 53. Okay, maybe go to 40 and then go on from there. You could even use a thermometer as a number line to help you. Okay, I'm not going to tell you the answer because you can work that out and then your parents can check for you. All right. Okay, now just to finish, as I said, I've got some just extra bits of practice of some scales which you can look at. I'm going to put up the pictures on the screen like I did with the other scales, and after about 5 seconds the answers will be revealed. So do pause the video if you're going to do that next bit, so that you can have a chance to work them out. There's a couple that have more than one arrow on them pointing, so work out both of the arrows that are pointing to different parts of the scale, and then you can check your answers after each bit. There are 2 other pictures coming, so there'll be one picture and then the answers, and another picture and then the answers, and there's a few scales on each picture. Okay, so make sure you do pause it so you've got time to work it out. Okay, I hope that was helpful, both of your videos this week. Next week there's another video coming looking at page 19 and page 20 of your textbook. So that's what you've got coming next week. But hopefully these 2 have helped you out this week, and I will hopefully be putting on a video as well with a little number game that you could play as well. Okay, right, take care and work hard and enjoy your time at home with your family, doing lots of creative fun things. Bye bye.